going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So as you can tell, we're in a different spot here, and soon here I'm going to show you guys around this entire office once I get things a little bit more set up. But that back there is my MacBook Pro setup with the brand new M3 Max MacBook Pro. If you guys didn't check out my last YouTube video, I'll have it linked up here where I unboxed that thing and talked all about it, and it is beautiful. But that back there is kind of like my main creative setup, and then this setup that I'm sitting at right now is actually my gaming setup, which is actually set up to stream as well. And we'll talk about the potential of that in a future video. Now, with all that being said, I actually went over to Instagram and asked for you guys to drop me some questions. I figured this would be a perfect opportunity to kind of catch up a little bit and do a Q&A video. I personally love these types of videos. It seems like you guys do as well. I think it's a great opportunity for you guys to get to know me a little bit better and for me to answer some questions that maybe I wouldn't in my everyday type of content. And you guys came through. I got a ton of questions. I remember when I first started out doing Q&As, I would maybe get 10 questions and I'd really have to kind of stretch them out or ask my friends to drop me some more questions. And then now we're sitting here and I have this many questions. I mean, it just keeps going. So huge shout out to you guys. I'm going to get through as many questions as I can, but please let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of this setup. Do you like this angle? Do you like this microphone? What do you guys think of the new office from what you can tell so far? All right, so I'm just going to start going through some questions. Let's get it. How do you find motivation to film and edit? So that's a great question. I think that's something that we all struggle with time to time, but honestly with myself right now, I think I have some very clear goals in mind of what I want to see out of my content and what I want to see with my platforms. And I think when you have some goals in mind, it's really easy to kind of work towards those. So right now I would say that's my biggest motivation. Have some things in mind, have some goals. It could be numbers, it could be consistency, whatever it is. And a lot of times I'm pulling from that type of motivation. And honestly, as you guys know, I've been moving over the last month and I've just been forced to be inconsistent a little bit with my content. So right now my motivation is just in the fact that I want to get some stuff out. What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't a content creator? This one's tough. I feel like everything I am into has some sort of content related to it. But I guess if I wasn't a content creator, like being in front of a camera, I actually originally started down this creative path doing graphic design. So maybe I'd kind of go more into that if that counts. Or fun fact, back in high school when I didn't know what I was going to do, I thought about going to culinary school. So maybe one of those. Are you still in Chicago? So yeah, I actually got this question because a few days before the move, I was in Denver. So a few people thought I moved to Denver. Yes, I'm still in Chicago, just moved to a different location within the city. I love Chicago and I plan on being here at least for a while. Are your reels posted at 24 FPS or 30 FPS? So everything I do, film, edit, shoot is always in 24 frames per second. Who/what is your biggest source of inspiration? Honestly, these days, I would say a lot of my just friends in this space. So over the last year, I put a lot of emphasis on surrounding myself with the right people. And I talk about that in my content often. Seeing my other friends crush it or chase goals or hit milestones or get brand deals that are just crazy. And that is instantly going to make yourself want to level up as well. So that's kind of where I'm at. If you could go back in time and have dinner with one person, who would it be? I could go down like an emotional route and talk about, you know, past family members, things like that, but not today's video. I guess having dinner with someone like Virgil would be really cool. Just talking to kind of like a creative genius, or, you know, Steve Jobs was obviously a huge one for me, being a huge Apple, you know, fan and actually working at the Apple store. Yeah, I think one of those two types of people would be really cool. Steve Jobs, I think, yeah, that might be my pick. He's just kind of the GOAT, right? If you could pick a camera that would be your only camera for life, what would it be? Wow, that is a tough question. I mean, I feel like it's probably a camera that's not even out yet, but if I had to pick something out of my current lineup, I would go with the Sony FX3. It is just an absolute workhorse and it is my go-to camera for everything I do for the most part. It's not perfect, but it checks the most boxes out of any camera that I've ever had. So right now I would go Sony FX3 or to future-proof myself, some sort of Sony camera. Are the olives your favorite Travis's? That's actually a tough choice. No, I don't think so. They need to be cleaned right now, but I gotta be honest, the reverse mochas, I think are still my favorite Travis's. The olives are nice, but these, for some reason, just, I've always been kind of like a brown, cream, warm, earthy tones guy, like that. So these kind of just hit the mark for me. But the olives are fire, don't get me wrong. Can only have one flavored coffee for the rest of your life. What's the order? Okay, so right now it is winter time. It's actually snowing for the first time in Chicago right now. It's actually, if you go to Starbucks, it is the almond milk sugar sugar cookie latte, but instead of almond milk, get it with oat milk, get it iced. That is the order. Sugar cookie, oat milk latte from Starbucks, get it iced. Thank me later. That thing is fire. Most annoying thing you've seen in the creative space as of recently. Man, how much time do we have? No, realistically, I think, you know, the creative space right now is kind of interesting. To me, I think this has been going on for a little bit, but for me, it's just the copy and paste type of content that you see from other people. I think I kind of come from the last generation of content creators where you were kind of rewarded for originality. And then now in the TikTok world, a lot of people see one type of video and then 200 people copy and paste the exact same shots, the exact same sound, the exact same clips, text, etc. I get trends and I get why that happens, but to me, originality, at least being able to switch up the trends to make it your own a little bit, I think it's definitely still worth it. Not seeing any sort of originality, or you're scrolling and you see the same song used, you know, 20 times out of 25 videos. Just kind of gets boring. Do you ever have doubts of your work? So all the time. And I think that's something that every single creator deals with, or really any creative in general, any type of art that you make. But I think no matter what level you are, if you're just starting out or if you've been in the game for a very long time, that is just kind of part of art. So I really think it's kind of inevitable that eventually you're going to doubt what you're working on. But one thing I will say about that is just the more you do this stuff, the more reps you put in, or, you know, the 100th time you make the same type of content, it becomes a little bit easier and you get that doubt maybe a little bit less, but it's inevitable for every creative. At some point, you're going to be doubting what you do. It's just going to be part of it. All right, so let's talk cameras, because I got about 50 questions talking about what camera should I buy, or should I buy this camera versus this one? I could sit here and answer every single question about what camera should you buy, etc. But here's the thing. I do not know what everyone's financial situation is, what your budget is, what you are shooting, what your goals are. Are you an amateur? Are you a professional? There's an endless amount of questions when it comes to what type of camera you should buy. So here's what I'll say. YouTube is going to be your best friend when it comes to researching on what type of camera you should buy. I obviously talk about a few of the cameras that I have pretty often, you know, the Sony FX3, the Sony ZV-E1, I have the Leica Q2, the Fuji X100V. Those are great cameras and they really fit me in what my workload and needs are. For some of you, these might check the same boxes. For a lot of you, totally different needs. So I would come up with, first of all, what your budget is, what you want to spend on your camera. And then I would go to YouTube and search things like, you know, best camera for vlogging for $1,000, or best camera for car photography for $500, whatever your kind of build is. So I do some research with what your kind of budget is, and that's the best way you're going to find out what the best camera is for you. What mic are you using? So right now, this is actually the brand new Rode Pod mic. It comes in a white colorway now. I was lucky enough, they sent it out to me, and this thing looks super clean, especially in this gaming setup. I'll put up a vertical video so you guys can see. I kind of just tried out this setup and it turned out looking amazing. So I plan on using this angle a little bit more, but this mic sounds great. So if you guys agree, let me know down in the comments below. What sneakers are on your Christmas list? So I gotta be honest, I'm chilling a little bit on the sneaker pickups. I went pretty hard last year and I actually just went through and organized my entire sneaker collection. So I know I owe you guys a sneaker video, but now that my sneaker collection's in my office here, it's gonna be a lot easier to film. So coming soon. To be honest, I kind of have every shoe I want right now, which is hard to believe and probably a lie. But funny enough, I've actually really been into Air Forces lately. So I kind of am looking for maybe another pair of those. I just got to find the right one. But I gotta be honest, some of the sneakers lately just haven't really been exciting me. So I need something to kind of catch my eye. If you guys have any good suggestions, let me know. What aperture do you prefer to shoot on, both vid and photography? Most of the time I'm kind of living on a 2.8, just because a lot of times I'm on lenses that go down to a 2.8, but on my Leica Q2, a lot of times I'm shooting at 1.7. But yeah, for the most part, I just go to the lowest number, shoot wide open. A lot of times I want that extra low light, and I like the bokeh. So best way to get started in the morning on your hustle, let's say dream scenario here, morning. I wake up, first thing I do is chug a big glass of greens. Kind of just gets me started on the right foot. And then again, dream scenario here, I would love to work out first thing, just kind of get that out of the way. And it really kind of just gets your body moving, but more importantly, your mind moving too. You're feeling accomplished to start your day, get a good sweat in. And honestly, when I'm working out is usually when I kind of get the best creative ideas, because I'm forced to not be looking at my phone or caught up in other things. So get up, get going in the morning, be active. And that's kind of the dream scenario for me. When's the office tour? Okay, so I gotta be real with you guys. I wanted to film an office tour in the last place. I ended up just going with a short form office tour just because limited time. Our move-in date kind of got moved around a little bit. So moving was just, a whole thing. I'm sure you guys can relate. Moving just sucks. But when is an office tour coming for the new place? Honestly, I think sooner than later. I just want to dial a few more things in. Like I said, you know, I've only been in this office for not even 3 weeks yet. And then we had Thanksgiving in the middle of that. So at this point, I have everything unpacked. I just need to figure out a few more things for the walls and everything like that. But hopefully soon. I would say in the coming couple of months. Space black or silver? I went space black on the new MacBooks, so gotta go with that. How do you get over the anxiety of filming yourself and posting it for others to see? Here's the thing. I think when you first start out, it's super intimidating, right? And then obviously again, what I said earlier, the more reps you do for anything, the easier it gets, and then kind of just the more used to it you are. But honestly, a big mindset shift for me was when I actually started to make money filming myself. A day in the life video with the iPhone 15 Pro, right? If you look at that video, I'm around dozens or hundreds of people. And at a certain point, you just kind of don't care anymore, because it's like people can laugh, people can make fun of me, but guess what? I got a lot of people that support me. And also I'm making money by doing this. So they can laugh all they want, but that's probably a lot more fun than whatever their job is. You know what I mean? So just kind of a mindset shift, but it's something that we all kind of think about sometimes, and it even gets the best of us, I think. Just do it more, you'll get used to it. Ooh, good question. Favorite part of the new space? So you guys obviously can't see all of it right now, but directly behind me is that MacBook Pro setup I was talking about. This right here is my gaming setup. Over here is my Husky workbench. I got my TV mounted on the wall. And then over here, which you guys can't see, is kind of like the sneaker shelf mini fridge storage section, I suppose. And this spot isn't big whatsoever, but I think easily my favorite part about it is my custom neon sign for lab culture, which if you guys haven't been paying attention, you know, more on that coming soon. But yeah, that neon sign back there, that custom neon sign I got made, it's just a cool milestone for me, and it's something that I'm just really stoked about, and it looks good in here. How did you get involved with Ghost? Okay, so this is a question that comes up time to time, and I actually have a full video on it, so I recommend you guys to give that a watch at some point. It's called How I Got My Dream Job. But let me try to sum this up in like 30 seconds. I've been using Ghost products for years. It's a company that I really personally enjoy and have believed in the products way before I was involved. And then when I started doing personal content, I saw a lot of fitness creators supporting the brand, being associated with the brand. I thought it was really cool. And then when they launched the energy drink, I just naturally started incorporating the energy drinks into my own personal content. I wasn't sponsored, but it was a goal of mine to eventually be working with the brand. And then fast forward, I eventually got signed on as an athlete, aka an influencer, kind of promoting some of the products. And then quickly after that happened, I moved into a role working within the company. So no longer an influencer, and instead being on the internal creative team. And since then I've leveled up. I'm now a director with the company, and it's a really cool milestone. It's a really cool thing to kind of see that come to fruition when it was a goal of mine. And yeah, all that's kind of happened over the last couple of years. So right now I am the content director for Ghost. I oversee all photo and video stuff that the company puts out. So obviously it's going to be kind of incorporated within my own content as well, because it is a large part of my life. Yeah, it's a fun gig. It's some awesome people. Your go-to sneaker. If we're talking silhouette, it's got to be the Jordan 1. Jordan 1 High to be exact. But the go-to, I gotta be honest, probably the Taxis lately. I just cleaned a bunch of these, but these, you can definitely see the wear and tear on them for whatever reason. This is just kind of the jam lately. I love those shoes. Just that colorway just is so good. No, I'm not a Steelers fan. Black, white, yellow, always fire. Sony versus Canon, and why? So if you guys didn't know, a few years back, I was actually shooting Canon. These days, I am solely shooting Sony, other than, you know, some fun cameras like a Q2. But seriously and professionally, I shoot Sony. And just for me, it was a better fit. I like the cameras better. I like the system better. The technology in them is awesome. And the way that Sony treats and the way that they collaborate with their creators is second to none. So that's why I shoot Sony. It's the main reason why I switched from Canon over to Sony, and they've taken great care of me ever since. And now, you know, I've been invited to some of their events, and I've talked to their engineers in person. I've been able to test out new cameras, all that stuff. So yeah, it was the right decision, and I have never looked back. No regrets with that. Would you be willing to mentor? So first of all, humbled by that question, thank you. do. But secondly, I think just right now, I just don't have the bandwidth to do so. There is something I would like to do further down the line, maybe somehow set up like mentorship calls or something along that line. I just want to make sure it's kind of worthwhile for both parties. I would only want to commit to that if I could really help you guys out. But even some of the other stuff I'm considering is, you know, live streaming. If I go down that route, maybe that can fill some of those gaps in the meantime. We'll see. Which kind of leads me into a great question. Content goals for 2024. I think, you know, a lot of times I actually don't make numerical goals, if that makes sense. I don't really like saying like, I want to hit this number of followers or subscribers. It's more like, hey, I would rather get out a video every week or post on IG every other day, stuff like that. Those types of goals I like more, but I'm thinking about breaking my rules here and actually making some number goals for 2024. For example, I really want to hit 100K on YouTube, like really badly. I think the amount of work and the community that we're building here kind of deserves that plaque. And that might sound arrogant, that might sound cocky, but I'm really confident in this work. I'm really confident in what we're doing here on this channel, and it's all thanks to you guys. So make sure you guys are subscribed. But yeah, I think the 100K plaque would look really good in this new office, and I think 2024 is the time to make it happen. Outside of that, I think just level up everything. I want to start working with an editor. I want to be more consistent, and I want to just kind of elevate everything that I'm doing. Time to make it happen. How do you get ideas for content, and how do you make it work in a small space? Great question. This office is not big at all. I got to find the dimensions. I'll throw it up on the screen, but they're not huge. And my last space was actually even smaller. And that's kind of the thing is, I think a lot of people get intimidated and find excuses as to why they can't, you know, film or create content. And I think we all kind of start out like on our kitchen counter or kitchen table or wherever, not in a great location. And in this day and age, especially with short form content, a lot of people don't even have a setup. You can make content anywhere. So personally, for myself at least, how it works is I like to set up my space. I try to have everything kind of film ready as much as possible, figure out your few angles, and then hide all the other stuff outside of those angles. So at least even if I have a messy space or a small space, I always kind of know my go-to spot, and that has helped me out a ton. As far as coming up with ideas, I just have an ongoing list of ideas that come to me whenever. I have a list for long form content. I have a list for short form content. I have a list for business ideas, lab culture, etc. So just write down ideas as they come in. 5 things that can't be missing in your backpack for filming. Let's just go 5 things I can't live without in general, which also includes filming. Number 1, iPhone 15 Pro Max, this thing workhorse. Number 2, let's go with the Sony FX3. Number 3, let's go with the AirPods Pro Generation 2. Need those. Number 4, let's go with a little caffeine source because, you know, have to. And then number 5, let's go with a hat because I'm always rocking a hat and it's just part of who I am at this point. I actually, some of the people that I work with actually thought I might be bald because I wear a hat so often. I'm not, okay? I just like wearing a hat. And shout out to Scott and Uphill. This is one of my favorite hats right now. This thing is fire. Go check them out. How to get a crispy, sharp, natural color grade. Short story is I shoot in Sony S-Log3. I overexpose by 1.3, and then I color grade everything with my custom S-Log3 LUT, which is available on my digital store. Link down in the description below. If you're shooting an S-Log3, you're overexposed by 1.3. Your white balance is correct. If you throw that LUT on top of it, your footage is going to look crispy. And I'll show you a before and after right now of mine. It's super easy. It looks great. And I get a lot of compliments about it often. So I haven't really tweaked it much in the last couple of years. All right, guys. So that's all the questions we're going to do in today's video. I honestly feel like I didn't even get through like a fourth of them. You guys hit me with so many questions. So I'm going to do this more often, not only here, but I think also on IG and maybe over on TikTok as well. So be sure to follow me on my other socials. Drop me a comment down below. And again, let me know if you guys like this new office, this new angle. Any sort of feedback is appreciated. Still trying to dial things in and make it efficient, make it look good, make it sound good. So yeah, check out some of my recent uploads if you haven't, and I will catch you guys in the next video very, very soon. Peace, guys.